Streaming now, this is the Wood TV Live Desk.
And good afternoon, everyone. Phil Pinarski here with the News 8 Live Desk. Hope you're all having an awesome day so far. Hopefully you're staying inside, avoiding all this cold weather that we have been feeling all across West Michigan as the Arctic blast continues to hang around. And one thing that we have always been kind of keeping everybody updated on are ways to stay warm and ways to also maybe mitigate those high costs from raising the heat on your energy bill. And we have tons and tons of helpful tips courtesy of Consumers Energy, which you can find right now over on our website, woodtv.com. But we are now being joined by Matt Johnson, the spokesperson for Consumers Energy, as well, to talk about those tips and also some pretty interesting things that we have noticed about the Arctic blast as it refers to Consumers Energy. Matt, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, Phil, thanks for having me.
Of course, first things first, I did want to kind of talk about the outage map. Typically when we do have these sort of big weather events, that's one of the first things we look at, and we typically see some different colors, I guess, all over the map indicating where these outages are. Not so much with this event. I think the last time I checked, it said 99.9% of customers still had their power on. I mean, that surprises me, I guess, on your, but on the consumer side of things, is that sort of surprising, or is this sort of an event where you guys didn't expect any issues at all?
Well, we're always monitoring, the situation, right? We're watching the weather alongside of you guys, and it's typically the wind that really is the biggest culprit here when it comes to potential power outages, right? Unfortunately, yes, we did have some high winds, especially along the lakeshore, but I think it also just speaks to the fact that we are committed to improving our reliability. We're working constantly year round. Just the last few weeks, we've announced some major improvements we've made to our grid to make it a more reliable grid to ensure that customers have their lights on. It is our number one priority to keep the lights on for our customers, and we're very proud that during this winter blast so far, we've been able to do that. We are committed to doing that. We have line workers who have been out and ready and prepared and stationed in areas of the potential highest impacts for where those wind gusts were expected to be higher, and they're able to restore power as quickly as possible. We did have just a couple of outages yesterday, about 1,000 or so people for just a couple of hours. We were able to get them on right back on quickly as possible to make sure that they have that heat on that we all need right now.
I know a lot of people are really happy to know that very few people were out without power, because it is just very, very cold outside. And if anybody that's even just gone out to get the mail over the past couple of days has probably felt that, especially people that have been out maybe working. And I do want to touch on kind of the crews aspect of this, but you mentioned something about the monitoring that Consumers Energy does, especially with winter weather like this. I mean, we'd love to kind of just get a little sneak peek or maybe a behind the scenes look at how Consumers really does monitor things to make sure that they do have crews in the right areas before or just in case something does happen.
Yeah, well, first of all, our line workers are ready and prepared and trained for any type of weather conditions, right? We are the ones that are sort of first responders, if you will, that we're right out there, in these situations doing the hard work that we do every day to ensure the reliability of our systems and to get customers back up as soon as possible. And, again, they're trained for this. So they're ready, they're dressed warm. They're taking all the safety precautions necessary to be able to, get the lights back on quickly for anybody who may lose power. But yes, we're constantly monitoring the weather conditions just like you are. Again, in these situations, it's typically high wind gusts. And we also see during ice storms, right, that power lines are more susceptible during ice storms, right? Trees falling on power lines is one of the chief causes of power outages. And so, we do a lot of forestry work throughout the year. We're trimming trees constantly to try and mitigate the potential risk for power outages, right? And so, fortunately, this was not as much of an ice storm incident as it was a heavy snow and, of course, cold weather incident. And we're also, when it comes to the cold, our power plants are on and all of our electric generation resources are on and working at full capacity to ensure that we can handle the demand on the system, right? When everyone is turning on their heat right now, that uses both electricity and gas, right? And so Consumers Energy is the largest electricity and or gas provider in the state of Michigan, serving 6.8 million customers in the Lower Peninsula. So we have a big obligation to make sure that we are as reliable as we can be. And also, Phil, just making sure that we can provide energy at an affordable rate to our customers as well to be able to keep that heat on. We have some tips for that I'd love to share too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of leads us perfectly into that next question about those tips. We had Brian Wheeler on last week, kind of before everything started happening, provided a lot of good information as far as preparations for the Arctic blast. Now that we're sort of in the midst of it, Matt, I'd love to kind of hear about some potential tips that Consumers is offering up to people to really deal with the weather now, as again, we've sort of maybe are past that preparation stage and are more so dealing with sort of what the weather's doing now. So any tips on how to deal with that, keep everybody warm, and then also maybe not necessarily break the bank on those energy bills?
Yeah, well, it's really exciting that, there are a lot of things you can do, right? The control is in our hands. The power is in our hands to be able to save money on your electricity bills and your gas bills, right? So, customers can take a lot of different actions. In fact, on our website, there's 100 different actions you can take to save energy. But one of the easiest ones to think about is your thermostat, right? Tone down that thermostat just a couple of degrees. For every 1 degree you turn down your thermostat, you can save 1 to 3% on your energy bill. And it also just decreases the demand on the system, right? So, you don't need to be heating your home at 75, even 72 degrees in situations like this, and especially if you're not home. I realize most people are probably home today with the kiddos at home and people potentially working from home as well. But getting a smart thermostat is a great way to save money. You can save up to 20% on your energy bill just by getting a smart thermostat. It lets you set your home and away routines, Phil. So when you're not home, you don't need to be using energy unnecessarily.
All really good stuff, and a reminder, what Matt said, over 100 different ways to really save money, save energy. All of that can be found courtesy of Consumers Energy. We've got links for you right now over on our website, woodtv.com, with all those tips, and you can also stay up to date on all the latest news regarding this Arctic blast. We just got a school closing prediction from meteorologist Blake Harms saying that most schools are probably going to be closed tomorrow as well. So again, something to keep in mind if you are going to be home with the kids. Ways to save money, ways to save energy, ways to also stay warm. Plenty of tips over on woodtv.com. Matt, thank you so much for stopping by today. We really do appreciate it, and we really do appreciate the time Consumers Energy has for us.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and I want to thank everybody else for tuning into this latest edition of the News 8 Live Desk. I'm Phil Penarski, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.